Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, you should get started with the show. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I, because I have this, I'm a famous TikTok. No. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to go like, ladies and gentlemen, stories on wheels. And you just like freak out. Okay, you know what? You just can't tell. Ready? And ladies and gentlemen, stories on wheels! And Happy New Year! Burnaby Heritage Museum 2023! Comfort and joy to one and all. Thanks very much. Gosh, we have like 1,000 hits already. Here's the thing, you get a little bonus story. I don't know if you... Has anybody seen the show before?
Yeah.
Anybody seen the show before?
Yeah.
One. Okay, that's pretty typical. Hardly anybody ever comes back after they've seen it. No. You're the first one in the history of the show. Alright, so I'm going to do... we call it a countdown, and it's like a little bonus story before the main event. So here's how it works. We all count down together from 5 all the way down to 0, and the little story unfolds. So keep your eyes on the picture cards. When you see the number, you can shout it out with me from 5 down to 0, starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, a little more fish than he was counting on that day. Be careful what you wish for is the moral of that particular story. Alright, we're going to do another countdown. This one works the same way. From 5 down to 0. When you see the number, you can shout it out, starting with 5, 4, 3, ready? 2, 1, 0. You're embarrassing me. Come down from there. Alright, and now we're going to do the final countdown unrelated to the 1980s hair metal pop song. Here we go, the final countdown from 5 down to 0, starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That is not a tree. Okay, it's not a tree, right? No. Anyway. And the power was out for 3 weeks after that. Okay, so we're going to talk just for a second about this kind of street theater storytelling show. It's called Kamishibai. It's a form of traditional street theater. People say like, did you make this up? Like, this outdoor street theater storytelling show. No, I did not make this up. It used to be really famous. There used to be thousands of storytellers, millions of kids, all enjoying this art form, and it comes from Japan. So the Kamishibai Man was the storyteller, and the Kamishibai Man would ride his bike from street corner to street corner, and he'd set up in a neighborhood, and then he'd use this wooden instrument to gather the crowd, to let people know, similar to like if you ever hear the sound of an ice cream truck, you recognize the sound. This is what it sounded like when the storyteller was in your neighborhood. Kamishibai, Kamishibai! And then all the neighborhood kids would gather around. And then once he had a crowd, he wouldn't start telling stories right away. What he would do is he would sell candy to the kids. It was how he made a living. Like, the show was free. Anybody could just wander up. It was part of the tradition. Anybody can just watch the show. You don't have to pay. You don't have to buy candy. But it gave him a crowd of kids to sell candy to. Some of the kids have this traditional snacks you could get. That's a biscuit in the shape of a cat's face. And he would have made that right there using ingredients in these little drawers. It was a great system. Millions of kids. Thousands of storytellers. Thousands of painters drawing the picture cards. If you talk to somebody that's in like their 60s or 70s, and you say to them, oh, do you remember Kamishibai storytelling? Like if they grew up in Japan? They kind of go like, remember it? Like that's all we did when we were kids. Like it was really famous. Anyway, in the 1950s, something happened. There was a famous invention that made the Kamishibai Man very sad when it came to Japan. It was popular all around the world, still very famous today. A lot of you probably have one in your living room. Anybody want to guess the famous invention that made the Kamishibai Man sad? What was it?
TV.
That's right. When TV came to Japan in the 1950s, it was the end of an era because kids could get their stories inside the house. They didn't have to go out into the street to listen to Kamishibai. So it went from thousands of storytellers to like dozens. Now there's a happy ending, which is that these kids that were little in the 1950s, they were your age back then, and now they're all grown-ups and they have their own children and grandchildren. And one thing we know about grown-ups, they love to talk about the old days, how great things were when they were little. And these kids that grew up with Kamishibai, they want their children to experience it. So they're looking for storytellers, and some of the old-timers are getting back on their bikes and are telling stories once again in the streets and parks of Japan. And it's becoming famous again, not only in Japan, but as the old-timers begin to teach new people how to do it, there's actually an international movement. Traditional storytellers are reaching out. There's an international Kamishibai association as they teach people around the world how to do this art form. I studied with a family in Kyoto, one of the traditional families that used to do this. There's people doing it in Europe, in South America, it's really famous, in America, and now, right here in Canada, Canadian Kamishibai, Stories on Wheels! And then you... Thank you for that warm and spontaneous round of applause. All right, so we're going to get started with the first story. This one, the first one, so we'll do two. And I have one that has a dragon in it. Are you guys okay with dragons? Nobody's like against dragons. Nobody's like, you're a little scared of dragons? You get nightmares? You might want to close your eyes. Alright, so can we get started?
Yes!
Thank you very much. That's the show. Good night. I got what I wanted. Alright. Okay. We get started. The story is called The Dragon's Tears. We'll get started in the story of The Dragon's Tears. Just outside a certain village, there lived a dragon. And the people that lived in the village, well, they were afraid of the dragon, and they spoke about the dragon. They said, this dragon is a terrible creature. And they said, my children can't sleep at night because of the dragon. And they said, I've met this dragon. He is a terrible creature. And they said, when the dragon breathes, great flames come shooting out of its mouth. And they said, why doesn't somebody do something? And they said, yes, when will a hero come along and save us from the dragon? Well, one day, a child was born. It was a boy, and he wasn't like the other children. He never cried when he heard stories about the dragon. In fact, he was asked questions about the dragon. He was curious about it. Now, he may sound brave, but he wasn't particularly so. The other children thought of him as gentle and kind. He didn't like playing war games or fighting games with the other kids. Well, one night, this little boy sat up very suddenly in his bed, and seemingly out of nowhere, he began to cry. His mother rushed into the room. My dear, are you all right? Do you have a tummy ache? No, it's the dragon. Oh, the dragon. Oh, my dear, you don't have to worry about the dragon. The dragon doesn't take away good children. He only takes away bad children. No, you don't understand. I'm not afraid of the dragon. I feel sorry for him. You feel sorry for the dragon? Well, why on earth would anyone feel sorry for the dragon? Don't you understand? Nobody's nice to him. Everybody's mean to him. And that little boy cried and cried all through the night. Well, when the neighbors heard what the boy had said, they began to talk. Oh, did you hear what that boy said? Yes, I always thought there was something strange about that child. Who would feel sorry for the dragon? Why doesn't somebody do something? Well, when the mother heard what they were saying, she stood up for him. She said, now that's my son you're talking about, and well, you'll see, he's going to be 7 years old soon, and you'll see, he'll grow out of it. Soon the boy's birthday arrived. The mother said to him, oh, my boy, your birthday's here. We're going to have a big party for you. You can invite anyone you like, anyone at all. Who would you like to invite? Oh, I'd like to invite the dragon. Dear, you can't invite the dragon. Yes, I can. You said I could invite anyone, and that's who I want to invite, the dragon. Dear, the dragon is a terrible creature, and he breathes fire, and he lives in the mountains far, far away, and he's very cruel. And she gave him all the reasons, but no matter what she said, she could not convince the little boy. A little later, the boy went out of his house. He walked for a while, and soon he found himself standing on the top of a hill just outside of the town. He could see a range of mountains off in the distance. Soft white summer clouds hung in the sky. Oh, that must be the mountain where the dragon lives. I'm going to go look for him. The little boy walked down the hill. He walked and he walked. He walked for miles. He followed the path. When he got tired, he slept underneath the trees. When he got hungry, he ate berries and nuts that he found along the way. He walked and he walked, until finally, he arrived at the mountain where the dragon lived. He found himself overlooking a misty valley. He could hear the roar of a mighty river down below. At least, he thought it was a river. Oh, this must be where the dragon lives. I'm going to call down to him. The little boy called down into the valley. Mr. Dragon! Mr. Dragon! Mr. Dragon! His voice echoed all throughout the mountain range. Now, the dragon was sleeping in his cold, dark cave. Oh, what's that? Someone's calling me! How strange! Who could it be? The dragon lifted his head up and he shouted back, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Please come out! Please come out! Please come out!" It was the voice of a small child, very unusual. The dragon got more and more curious, and finally he lifted his long body up and he lumbered out of his cave. "So, it was you that just called for me!" Now the dragon had a voice that would make your blood run cold, and when he spoke, great flames came shooting out of his mouth and black clouds of smoke billowed all around him. The little boy just stared at him. "I can see you're not an ordinary child. Why have you come all this way just to ask for me?" "Oh, I wanted to invite you to my birthday party." "What? To invite me to a party?" "Yes, you've never been to a party before, have you, Mr. Dragon?" "No, I can't say that I have." "Well, that's why I've come. Well, come along, won't you, Mr. Dragon? It'll be all kinds of fun. There'll be games and treats and toys." "Oh, wait a minute! Wait a minute! You want me to go with you? Is it really all right?" "Oh yes, it'll be lots of fun. There'll be other kids there, and I'll be there, and I won't hurt you. And if anybody tries to be mean to you, I'll stand up for you. I'll protect you." The dragon looked into that boy's eyes, and he felt something that he hadn't felt in 100 years. It was kind of a warm feeling, and as the feeling rose up, it kind of hurt and felt good at the same time. And as the dragon spoke, tears formed in his eyes. The dragon said, "Thank you! Thank you!" And tears poured down his cheeks. "Oh, thank you! No human has ever spoken kindly to me before." And the tears poured along the ground. "In fact, they've only ever hated me and despised me. Oh, and you're so nice." And the tears formed a stream on the ground. "Oh, I'm not really bad. Everyone just thinks I am." The tears kept flowing along the ground and started to sweep things away, and the little boy was very surprised, and he grabbed onto a tree branch and said, "Mr. Dragon, your tears are going to wash me away, and I won't be able to go back home." "Oh, don't you worry, little boy. Just hold on to my back." The little boy carefully climbed down from the tree and held on tightly to the dragon's back. The dragon floated along the water like a boat. By this time, the tears had become a great wide river. The blue sky reflected off of the surface of the water. The sun shone down upon them. The dragon said, "This is the happiest day of my life. I wish I could stay like this forever. Yes, I'm going to stay like this and become your boat. Then all of the kind and gentle children of the world can come for a ride." Soon, the boy's town could be seen in the distance. Suddenly, the dragon began to change. At first one end, and he slowly turned into a magnificent steamboat. His breath became the smoke, and his roar became the tooting of the boat's steam whistle. Well, when that boy pulled up to the town in a steamboat, well, how surprised they were. And whenever the children of the town came for a ride on his boat, he never forgot his friend, the dragon. The end. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much.